To start, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for your requests and suggestions. I'm considering many of them and will likely be working from them into the near future. By all means, keep them coming. Joining me today is fellow internet shitlord, the White YouTuber. Ready to take on some vintage SJW stupidity?
Fuck yeah, bro. Let's do this shit, handjob. But just to be serious for a quick second, I'm really happy that we're doing a video together, man.
Pleasure to have you aboard, sir. So, for a bit of backstory, the video we're about to respond to caught my attention not long ago. Not because of what he was saying, as it's the same kind of regurgitated waffle you'd expect from a feminist, but rather because of where I found it. This is Vinny Mac, formerly known as the Ignored Gender. His was one of the first channels that got me started on the whole anti-feminist discussion well before I even considered starting a channel, focusing largely on instances of misandry in commercials and music. He has made some solid content so far, and I honestly believe he deserves a far higher subscriber count than he has. However, he hasn't posted a video in over a year now because of his academic and career aspirations, and doesn't expect to be able to post regularly again for at least another year. Still, I would recommend that anyone who likes my content visit his channel, give him a watch, and subscribe. Upon his return, I have no doubt that the anti-SJW community will be better for it. That said, this is not Vinny Mac.
What the fuck?
I honestly have no idea who this guy is, but his face showed up on my subscriber feed under Vinny's account a couple days ago. Initially, I suspected an account hijacking, but considering he's referring to a video from The Amazing Atheist posted quite some time ago, and given Vinny's update since the video went live on his channel, I'm more inclined now to believe that this was just an innocent mistake on Vinny's part while exploring YouTube's onboard video editor. Perhaps a video to which he intended to respond, yet never got around to. In any case, I hope our response here serves to bring Vinny's channel the attention it deserves and to inspire him to contribute again in the future. And if you're watching, Vinny, I'd love to work with you sometime. Alright, let's get on with it.
I'm ready when you are, Mr. Hands. Let's do this.
This is going to be a video response, and because of that I'm going to be reading from a script because I want to make sure that I get everything correct and succinct.
Oof, this is already going to be weird for me since all my videos are off the cuff.
So, yeah. The Amazing Atheist recently posted a video attacking the CBS show The Talk, where they laugh over a man getting his penis cut off and thrown into a garbage disposal. First off, let's address the fact that they're laughing about it is rather disturbing, especially being a man who's more than slightly attached to his penis. That said, his response is wrong on one level, and at best, misdirected on others.
So, there's this show on CBS. It's called The Talk. It's kind of like CBS's answer to The View. The premise is that a bunch of mindless, chattering cunts sit at a table and talk about their problems. I don't fucking know. I don't watch the show. I saw this clip on the internet where they were talking about this woman who chopped her husband's penis off and stuffed it in a garbage disposal.
She goes, that'll teach him.
I do think it's quite fabulous.
I mean,
Can you just imagine that thing whizzing around the disposal? It's like hysterical.
Why did this woman chop her husband's penis off? Because he asked for a divorce. And these cunts were cackling about it like, ha 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 ha!
So you're saying his response is both wrong and misdirected when it consisted of little more than emphasizing what a sick double standard it is to laugh at a man on national television who had his dick cut off, and even though you're willing to concede that laughing about it is indeed sick. This ought to be amusing. Carry on then.
I've never heard a guy go, a man is more than slightly attached to his penis. Like, dude, me and my dick are like this, man. Like, I know my dick like, shit, I know my dick. That's how I know it. Man, I can't even think about, I don't want to lose my little guy. My big guy. I don't want to lose my big guy.
First, he is flat out wrong in his association of feminism with this. Men and women who more than smack of misogyny equate misandry, of which there is plenty in our society, with feminism. This is resolutely not the case.
was no shortage of feminist defense on behalf of Lorena Bobbitt when she cut off John's penis in 1993, both in the legal context and in the aftermath that resulted in a slew of insulting jokes at John's expense to the point where he became a household name. This story was received the same way by people with the same views, including the hosts of The Talk, who are no strangers to open support of feminism, and yet you will claim that it's resolutely not the case, even though you just admitted that it's sick for them to be laughing about it the way that they did, on the basis of this idea that feminism is not a monolith. This is the same manner of excusal by which religious extremists defend their holy texts regardless of what horrible shit they say and what travesties in which they result. It's pathetic.
I just personally don't understand why he's arguing or defending something that doesn't have a leg to stand on. I mean, these people were laughing at a guy who got his dick cut off in his sleep. That just doesn't make that much sense to defend.
I read Jezebel a lot.
What a fucking shocker.
Oh, this is already getting good.
I also read lots of other blogs written by level-headed, intelligent people.
If the authors of Jezebel are your standard for a level-headed intelligence, I'll take that remark with a grain of salt.
Now hold on, handyman. He might look into other reasonable sources like Now This, or BuzzFeed, or hey, even MTV News.
Feminist, feministing, and a variety of other blogs that deal with gender and society.
From the misogyny-tinted glasses perspective of a victim card certified feminist.
Feminist and feministing? What the fuck? Where's femifisting? I'm fucking down.
If these are representative of feminism in the world today, then he is wrong.
Is he? Well, let's see here. Here's Jezebel with an article accusing a man of being a rapist with no conviction or evidence other than their own ingrained bias against anything with a penis. Here's Feminist with an article conflating Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech with a call for black people to riot in an effort to argue that he would support the violence we've seen from Black Lives Matter since its inception. And here's an article from Feministing, asserting that only white people complain about family drama during Thanksgiving and shaming them by inciting fear over a Trump presidency mass deportation which will likely never happen as they envision it, as if one has anything at all to do with the other.
All I know is fucking last Thanksgiving, someone put fucking chestnuts in the fucking stuffing, and I couldn't fucking have it because I'm fucking allergic. I hope that fucking person burns in fucking hell.
I can guarantee you that none of these professional victims would have a problem joining the cackling twats of The Talk in laughing about a severed penis being thrown into a garbage disposal.
And if he can't take feminism seriously, if he can't take the drive for absolute equality of women seriously, then he is nothing more than another stupid white guy who can't look past his own perspective.
Another stupid white guy, he says, as a fucking white guy himself. And he wonders why we don't take feminism seriously, never mind the fact that he can't point to a single example of institutional inequality that advantages men at the expense of women.
A stupid white guy. I can relate. But seriously though, why does it have to be a stupid white guy? Why can't it just be a stupid guy? I understand some people might want to go, well, why not just a stupid person? Well, honestly, a stupid guy or a stupid girl, those come naturally for me, so I can understand saying that. But why does it have to be a stupid white guy? Why does anyone or everyone have to influence that word? White. But to be fair, I am the white YouTuber, so I'm a little hypocritical on this one. Alright, you got me on this.
Is there misandry? Of course. There's tons of it. Cosmo magazine is a great example, with its subtly misandristic portrayal of men as only animals in need of sexual placating. But all of the misandry in the world pales in comparison to the amount of misogyny out there.
Okay, first of all, I'm not in the least bit surprised that this beta male reads Cosmo. Second, this sort of weak attempt to throw his opposition a bone with absolutely no specifics and meet us halfway is almost always a solid indicator that he has done absolutely no investigation into the amount of misandry that actually exists out there. And third, before we go any further with this, we need to make an important distinction here. In your incessant efforts to redefine words to fit your narrative and claim the most inflammatory buzzwords for your exclusive exploitation, feminists have watered down the meaning of many of them to the point of complete uselessness. One of those words is misogyny, a word you assign to anything and everything that does not fit your narrative, and you move those particular goalposts on a daily basis. There is another word that your kind used to throw around which, while also largely inflammatory and hyperbolic, was closer in its definition to the real motive behind many of the behaviors you so callously and inaccurately label misogynistic. That word is chauvinism. Chauvinism is a word that refers to loyalty to one's own group, or more specifically in this context, to the division of classical gender roles. And there is a massive difference between chauvinism and misogyny, because while many chauvinist behaviors can come from a place of resentment, they can also come from a place of loyalty to the opposite sex based on the thought that women should be protected and honored in a particular way. The defining feature of misogyny, on the other hand, is hatred. Without hatred, an arguably sexist act is not misogynist by definition. And that is where your argument falls apart before it even begins. Because while many societal norms to which you object are arguably chauvinist in nature, such as chivalry, the very suggestion that these acts come from a place of hatred is absurd. If a man hates a woman, truly hates her, why would he then sacrifice himself for her benefit? Further, have you ever wondered why you've never heard a female equivalent of the word chauvinism, like misandry in its equivalence to misogyny? Well, in your feminist mind, you might think it's because the idea of women oppressing men is ridiculous. Incorrect. The reason you haven't heard a female equivalent of the word chauvinism is because that word is not gendered in the first place. That's why the full phrase is male chauvinism, because the word itself only has to do with in-group loyalty, which means that anytime women, especially feminists, do not take issue with those double standards that ultimately benefit them, it is an act of female chauvinism. And yet, the shorthand of just using the word chauvinism has been associated by default with male sexism ever since feminists appropriated the word for their agenda. That, in and of itself, is a normalized state of misandry.
Yeah, what that guy just said. By the way, what the fuck is Cosmo?
Especially in regards to the violent nature of the misogyny.
What? Like, what the fuck? Like, what, bro? Yo, Han, can you fucking explain this one?
And I imagine you're not going to show us any violent misogyny here in the West, are you? I'm pretty sure that little remark is in reference to cultures in the Middle East that are entirely out of our control, isn't it?
If you feel that I need to make a list of examples of misogyny, you need to read more news.
Yep. Thanks for that weak cop-out and confirming my low expectations.
Han, he's telling you to read more news. He obviously doesn't have any time to write down a list of examples, even though he just wrote down this whole fucking video.
For example, just as I was writing this, Kotaku, the gaming blog that is actually the sister website of Jezebel, wrote of a large LAN party celebrating the release of Battlefield 3, a video game.
Thanks for letting us know, bro.
They banned women because their presence causes the men to act up.
What a surprise that you use Jezebel and its sister websites as your primary source for news, or that your first example would be of such a ridiculously first-world problem in the absence of any violence that you would have undoubtedly cited first if there was any to choose from on our home soil. I also love how you fail to mention the pathetic apology from the organizers of that LAN party mentioned in the same article, and frankly, your butthurt over a male-only LAN party registers a resounding 0 on my give-a-fuckometer when we live in a country where anti-white, anti-male safe spaces run amok, white people are getting their asses kicked in riots simply for being white, and segregated housing is trying to make a comeback in an effort to appease the racist demands of black university students being spoon-fed this race-baiting nonsense. Segregation which was legally achieved by making the housing exclusive to students, quote-unquote, concerned with black issues, as if any white student would feel safe there with the rhetoric coming from the mouths of Black Lives Matter proponents these days.
Put yourself in the shoes of the female gamers who wanted to attend, or those who attended the previous year, thus motivating this absurd regulation. You can appreciate the urge to portray men as chimpanzees.
So now all men are chimpanzees. Just a question, are you calling just white men chimpanzees? Because if you call black men chimps, then that's a slippery slope, my friend.
No, I really fucking can't. Because not all men were at that LAN party, and because we see nothing but media condemnation of backlash sexism every time feminism sees fit to stick its raging penis envy into any industry that they feel doesn't pander to them quite enough. With all of the other clearly worse examples of anti-white, anti-male discrimination that I just listed, how does this amount to justification for laughing about spiteful castration on daytime television?
He uses an example from Forensic Files, where a woman killed her husband, but doesn't give us all of the details. The woman shot her husband in the head with a shotgun while he slept, and claimed that he had been beating her.
Damn, nigga, shit's cray-cray out there.
Just how many juries in this country do you think would be willing to shed a single fucking tear for a man who blew his wife's head off with a shotgun because she had been beating him? With the stunning lack of male domestic abuse support available due to constant feminist protesting of men's issues conferences, and with the common laughter in response to male comedians' stories about being hit by their significant others, I think even you know the answer to that one.
The Amazing Atheist derides this. Has he never seen Burning Bed? It's a viable defense. And it's not a viable defense for purely emotional reasons. There are reams of psychological research data describing the state of mind people can come to be in when living in an abusive household.
If you ever came across a woman beating the ever-loving shit out of her man in broad daylight and he pulled out a pistol and blew her brains out, I'm willing to bet you wouldn't be applauding him. I'm pretty sure your reaction to seeing him getting his ass kicked would be much the same as these women.
No. No.
One after another, people pass by and keep right on going. What will this woman do? At first, she seems to ignore the fight, but pauses a few paces down the path to watch. She tells us she didn't think this woman could pose any real physical threat.
It didn't look like any harm was being done. I didn't immediately think to protect the man at all.
But now we're about to meet a woman whose reaction is instant, visceral. Watch closely.
No, get up. No.
What a fucking cunt.
What went through her mind?
Good for her. You go, girl.
Linda Makuthi just assumed he had it coming to him. But why?
Maybe because she's a fucking sexist bitch.
Maybe she caught him cheating or something like that. Really bad.
He uses this as a counterexample, but it fails. He fails to take his own words into consideration when saying that women are treated differently. He talks about how every show is a husband killing the wife. And I watch the same shows, it's true. And then an episode of the wife killing the husband. Doesn't that make any intelligent person step back and think that if all other cases are one way, and this one is another way, that there might be something different about it?
No, it wouldn't, because of people's willingness to laugh about a man getting his dick cut off in his sleep and thrown in a garbage disposal, or of their willingness to cheer and laugh about a man getting beaten by his girlfriend in broad daylight are any indication of public opinion on the matter, television stations that host these stories would know that one will produce more outrage than the other, and thus better ratings. Trust me, there is no shortage of wives having murdered their husbands that could be used for a story like this. They just won't be worth airing to those station executives in it for the money.
You're right, man, and I've got to tell you, Naked Mr. Sacco, this dude is fucking boring. He's a wet fucking blanket. I can't take much more of this.
Especially considering that the episodes of that very show that involve women, which I've seen, and I'm sure so has he, where the women's motivations are black as pitch. The women never do what he described. They poison, which is very popular with women, or they hire someone else.
And the men in those cases are no less dead for this different approach, now are they? Do you actually understand that you're trying to justify murder right now? As abusive as any husband might be, the worst crime in the situation is still, and will always be, murder. She may have some scars, which could have been prevented had she went to the authorities like she should have done, but at the end of the day, his life is over and nobody gives a damn. Even though you can be guaranteed that no amount of abuse a woman could inflict on a man would be considered justification for her murder by shotgun, poison, or contract killer.
It's real funny that this guy tried to justify two things in this video. The cutting off of a dick of a guy and the killing of a man. I mean, seriously.
Women do not physically abuse men.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here's a third thing he's now going to try to talk about in a totally retarded way.
Oh, they don't? Well shit, I guess these men must have just fallen down some stairs or gotten hit by cars. Maybe they taunted a bull or pissed off a cartoon kangaroo wearing boxing gloves. Did you forget that this video that you just made is in response to a story about a woman who cut her husband's dick off in his sleep for asking for a divorce? I think I'm willing to accept this clear absence of perspective as an indication that this mangina has reached a point of no return, and I'm not willing to follow him beyond it. It would be a waste of my time and the time of anyone watching. Thanks for sparing me the frustration of suffering the rest of your video, and thanks again to the white YouTuber for his contribution. It was a pleasure working with you.
Hey man, I'm just really happy that we got to do this video together. You're a really awesome YouTuber and you make great content, and I'm really happy that your channel's doing so well. This has been a real fun experience for me, man. Thanks so much.
Be sure to pay the white YouTuber's channel a visit and subscribe. And once again, be sure to give Vinny Mac a watch, and if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe and show him that his return will be most welcome. That's all for now, and I'll catch you guys next time.